Oh, Karen from Sweden. Yeah. Okay. Let's go. Say bye-bye to the thing there. Hi, Karen. How's it going? Your mic on?
Yeah, I put it on now. Yeah, it's I'm fine. I've been following you for several years now, and I saw this announcement about this show to this workshop. I saw it on Facebook a couple of days ago.
Oh, good.
So I was just jumping in on Facebook and saw that you had the link to go into here. So I haven't
Yeah, that's
mailed
perfect.
you anything. Yeah,
We're going to talk about talking to the parts of self.
yeah. The
And
only
here's
thing I wonder, I have Facebook lying underneath the thing, and I don't know how I can. Oh, there I can go. Oh,
yeah, you should have this should be floating on another window for you. The Zoom is on another window, so underneath the window would be Facebook.
yeah, but I couldn't find it anyhow.
Uh,
I don't know how I could. I try. Yeah, there it is. I go out from there.
so did you ever watch any of my videos on language lessons of the heart?
Yes.
Oh, good, good. Yeah, this is new for me. I just want to say I'm not a therapist or a psychologist or a PhD. I'm not any of those kind of things. I'm somebody who did a lot of meditation, and I was working in construction, and I was a cabinet maker, and I sort of had my dark night of the soul, and then I just realized I can't live the way that I've been living anymore. So I did my healing work when I was about 45, and I I had to pay attention to what I was doing, and I was really lucky. Some people told me what was going on and said, "Oh, well, your problem is with your emotional body," and I didn't know what that was. I was a yogi, and I thought I knew everything, but I didn't know what the emotional body was. But because I was a cabinet maker and a yogi, I had a really still mind, and I could really concentrate. So when I got into doing process work and emotional release work and uh, you know, and learning how to do it, I had a lot of concentration. And then because I had this thing of how to build a cabinet, when you have a cabinet, it's so wide and it has doors, and you have to figure out how wide each door is and all that kind of stuff. So that's so that when the thing's built and it's done, it's the right size. So that gave me this whole process kind of thing. So I started seeing how thoughts inspired feelings, and whatever you were thinking about in events created judgments and denials. And I started seeing and put it all together. It wasn't just me. Like I said, I had a lot of help from people who kind of tuned me in. So what I did, I found out that things worked really well. It worked. The stuff that I was doing was working really well. And so then I hit the books. I read about 200 books in a year and a half or so. A lot of them I didn't really read the whole thing because it was like, you know, like neuro uh, linguistics, something or other. How this stuff works. But anyway, I developed these over time, and I did a couple of workshops in Miami, a couple of workshops in Jamaica, and those were really, really, really powerful. And then I kind of ran out of gas or whatever, and financially I couldn't keep putting the workshops together because it's really hard to get enough people into an audience. And then I couldn't take it on the road because I didn't have those kind of skills. So I took a break and then kept on working and paying my bills. And in the end, um, the internet came along, and I decided I'd put it all on the internet, and that's where we are right now. So I've been researching this stuff and looking into it, and this is one of the finest healing modalities in the world because of its thorough, complete, accurate, and precise to what you need. This thought will create that feeling, and that feeling will make you miserable. All right. And if you change that thought, then it changes the feeling, and then you're okay again. That's like one of the basics. But the whole thing is predicated on that we have four parts of self. Um, Spirit, heart, your will is in your belly, and your body. Spirit, heart, will, and body. Those are the four parts of self. And those are your sort of like your operating system. So you have your conscious mind, which is the one who's sort of like the president and in charge, but you also have a heart, a will, and a body in energy. So you can, and each one of them has a voice, each one of them has a location, and each one of them has an important role to do. And it is who we are. We are spirit, heart, will, and body, and this identity, the collective identity, makes five. Then that's basically who we are. And if your head's going one way and your heart's going another way, and your emotional body is going another way, then you got issues. You know what I'm saying? You're being pulled apart, and that's what a lot of emotional release, healing has to do with, is connecting your mind back to your heart and back to your emotional body, so it can resolve those conflicts, that undischarged traumatic stress. It's actually pretty simple, but because people just take themselves as a whole, like as a gestalt, we take ourselves as a gestalt, and as like one thing, and we're not normally analyzing what is this, what is this thought, what is this feeling, where is this going, how's it feeling in my body. We don't analyze and look at it very well. So then long-standing trauma and drama that gets stuck in our emotional body really messes up our life. So today, and healing happens, there's one kind of healing that you can do for your mind, and there's a kind of healing that you do for your heart when your heart has issues. And there's, things you can do for your emotional body, which is the deep feminine, your will, and that's where most of the pain is. And then there's stuff you can do for your physical body. And that gives you four opportunities or four avenues to explore for healing and to gain help in healing, if healing is what you want. But this is also, it's also, where am I here? It's healing and evolving is the same thing. So if you think, a lot of people are like they think that they're not that wounded and they're pretty high functioning. So they're not really saying, well, I don't need to do emotional healing work and whatever, right? But in reality, we're living in a pretty bad situation here, that our collective consciousness has made this weird thing with the government and crooks and bad actors and all kinds. Everything's a hot mess out there because nobody's really looking at their own issues. And if we don't look at our issues, then we don't look at their issues, and that lets it go, So we've been not looking at our issues for generation after generation, and the denial of our needing to realign with our true self has manifested, predatory churches, predatory schools, predatory banking, predatory uh, insurance companies, predatory police, predatory governments, right? Predatory, all that stuff. It's just crazy. And that is a reflection of how much suppression and repression and out of touch we are with our sovereign self. We're meant to be sovereign beings. We're meant to be uh, what do you call it? Um, we're children of the Most High. We're children of God, and we're meant to be. We're meant to be that, and not uh, some slave, right? What we are is God in absentia. The inside our body is the kingdom of heaven. But since we don't ever go in there, uh, then it's like you're not inside, you're outside the garden of heaven. You're in somebody else's heaven, right? So you work for somebody, you worship somebody, you do all this, you pay taxes to somebody, and you're afraid of the police, and all this kind of stuff is external. But we don't really have a foundational way to become internal and to make our subconscious conscious, and that's what talking to the parts itself is so it's so powerful. So that's 206. I think we'll start. You have anybody have any questions? You can unmute your mics if you want to ask a question or turn on your thing. So, Marcus, Susan, Hugh. All right, and we'll go to screen share. This is my you know keynote, which I guess I can put it up big for a while. See how that goes. Well, that didn't work too good. Okay, so talking to the parts of self is a little bit like channeling. It is like it's like channeling the major players in your life. It's very much to talk to the parts of yourself is a little bit like channeling, except you're just having a conversation with yourself. And the major players are you, your spirit, heart, will, and body. And for you to enter into the right relationships with the ones who love you the most is a marriage made in heaven. The kingdom of heaven is inside you. The kingdom of heaven is inside. That means from the skin in. That's where heaven exists. And if you're not there, then if you don't go inside, then then you're never a resident of your own kingdom. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be talking about stuff that's actually really, 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 really simple. Now, let me just get out of this thing for a second. Stop share. Now, like I said, I did meditation. I did Kriya Yoga. I met four enlightened men, and my whole life has been kind of like on this spiritual path, right? And I meditated for a lot of years, and I attained God realization, right? That just means that you see God inside you, right? It's real. You see the light of God inside you, and this is a kind of a basic yogic thing. If you do it long enough, it's going to happen to you. It's nothing that you do; it's a gift. But just think about that. To have God realization in your life, all you got to do is breathe. That's it. You meditate, you focus on your breath, and if you sit there long enough, hour after hour, day after day, week after week, doing the same thing, your energy rises really gradually, and somewhere along the line, the clouds part, and there's the light of God inside you. That's God realization. It's not enlightenment. Enlightenment is when you keep going for another 20 years, and then that light stays on all the time. But it is God realization, and God realization can be had just by breathing. As simple as that. Concentrating on your breath, every day. So when I talk about things like talking about the parts of self, um, this is really, really simple stuff. And you can say, how does that, how does this talking to my parts of self, how does that do anything? Yeah? It's just too simple. If you say it's just too simple, um, then that's just a slap in the face. Don't do that. Give this a chance. Give this. This has never been done on Earth before. This talking to the parts of self. There's a lot of buzz about it in different scriptures and stuff, but it's never been presented. It's this way as a process, as a method, as a healing modality. Okay, entering in the right relationship with the ones who love you most. That's one of the key understandings is you have your spirit, heart, will, and body, and your 61 trillion cells that are all devoted to you as if you are a God, as if you are the leader, the parent, you're the everything to them. And the devotion that they have for you is almost never matched as your devotion to them, your love for them, and your connection to them. So there's an interrupted loop. And once you connect that loop back to, hi, I love you, and write that whole thing, it sounds very simple, but it's like as simple as a dog that comes to you in love, and you pet the dog, and then your life has more value. Okay, this is Penny Kelly, and she said this thing that was really interesting. She said, "It's interesting you mentioned talking about elephants." This was taken out of context here, but it's interesting you talk about elephants because elephants is one of the symbols of I will retain my ability to put myself back together again. This is a very important skill. If you split yourself and can't come back together, then you have a multiple personality disorder or a split personality disorder. If you only have one version of yourself and you try to use that for everything, then you have a singular personality disorder. And neither one of them works very well. So we have all have varieties of selves. So we can act one way with a spouse, another way with a child, another way with a bus, with our boss and our teachers, right? That's Penny Kelly. And what we're seeing in the world right now is a huge epidemic of singular personality disorder. This is one of the greatest crimes that is we've been told, oh yeah, we're moving up the ladder to the all one. But right now you're exclusive. There's only you. You're the only one. There's none other like you. And there's, to be authentic and to be uh, exclusively you. Well, that doesn't work so good. It also doesn't work so good to be part of a family or part of a community if that community and family is toxic and you lose yourself in that, then that's also not so good. So talking to the parts of self is to repair that split that happens. When we were young, we had our full will rolling all the time, and there was no split. But we got told over and over again, no, stop doing that, stop crying, don't do that, don't stop making noise, and all this kind of stuff. And gradually there was a split between what our will, wish, and want was, and what we had to do because of the society, the school, the teachers, the mothers and fathers, and all the rules and regulations. That created a split, and we actually became sort of this altered person. We became the child or the student and all this kind of stuff. That was not it was none of our idea. We wanted to go outside and play. So to repair the split that is caused the cause of multiple personality disorder, and fix the singular
No,
personality disorder.
Tom.
Back to a normal complex flowing complex. One into many and back into one.
Oh,
Somebody's got their mic on, maybe to turn it off. Head and the locations for your spirit, heart, will, and body is head, heart, belly, and body. Okay. Talk to the parts of yourself. Language, lessons of the heart, is for healing your will. That's your emotional body, and that's in your belly. That's the deep feminine. That's your inner child. That's where your shadow comes from. So healing your will, the deep feminine, is the main focus of talking to the parts of self. It's because that's what holds the trauma and drama. And once that's healed, the whole system heals. And will hold your pain for you in your emotional body. That means when you were little and there's all the things you wanted to do, and you got spanked or you got chided or you got accused or you got told or reprimanded, all this kind of stuff. The will took that in as shocks and pain and hurt feelings, and held it for you so that you could go on and play and do and live your life. So there was a bifurcation between your living, growing up as a child, and your emotional body having to be stifled, shut up, shut down, closed off, be quiet, and stuffed. That's what happens with the will. So we heal from our deepest pain, and this puts the will first on the list. Okay, talking to the parts of self. Until you make your unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it faith. All the bad things that have happened to you, almost all the bad things that have happened to you, is because we're out of touch. We're disconnected from our subconscious, from our unconscious. And talking to the parts of self makes your unconscious conscious. This is a really big deal. Be astounded, for this is what you will soon do. And remember, this is very simple. You may not even know that it's happening. Just like when you meditate for years and years, you don't even know that it's happening, but gradually something does happen, and it's profound. Okay, this is more about the will. Um, Remember that all wounding happens from the outside in, right? And and all healing happens from the inside out. The wounds that happen to you end up in your will and body as denied pain. Heart stops responding by shutting down. So there's a lot of people who are functioning in this world and their heart is not working. They can't. If you say, do you love yourself? They don't even know what that means, or can you speak from your heart? They don't know what that is because their heart has been shut down. Because if you shut down your emotional body, your heart gets. I mean, if you have pain in your emotional body, your heart, it's heartless to leave it there. It's like listening to a child cry and you get pulled on your heart. So it's a big deal to have your heart shut down. And when you start to heal your will, you also begin to heal your heart. Any and all pain from the past is held for you by your body and will. So your feelings become denied. They do this out of love for you. So I'm talking about compartmentalizing the pain and suffering. We have a compartment inside of us for our visions of the future and dreams of things we want, and we have another compartment over here for the things that we're not allowed to have, or we can't move to. We call this long-held and denied pain our inner child, or our pain body, and we call it our pain body, and often we call it our shadow. Okay, and here's what it looks like inside. That inner child is screaming, right? Like a little baby or something is screaming, or when you really get hurt, it's just a scream going on, and that's what's compressed into silence. But it's not just silence; it's the silence of saying, "Come and help me, come and help me. I'm hurting." Yeah, and when that happens, that's when you start seeing patterns repeating. Like patterns in a relationship to repeating. Or somebody's got a question. Lisa got a question?
Just looking for yes or no. Shutting down the heart, could that be why heart disease is so prevalent in our society?
Pretty much, yeah. I go into that a little bit later, that emotional issues, especially emotional blockages, denied emotions, is the number one factor for all physical illness and all emotional illness. and this is not me saying it, this is huge studies that they did by the CDC and the Kaiser Permanente, where they did reviews of thousands and thousands of people. It was like 18 or 19,000 in the first round, and they've done this in every state since then. And what they found is it's not the food, it's not the exercise, it's not genetics, it's not your lifestyle that causes disease. It is your emotional suppression and repression caused by stuff, and it's pretty rampant. I mean, it's pretty shocking. I'll have some data on that in a little while.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, who on earth or in heaven would be willing to hold for you for 35 or 40 years the pain so that you could live your life? This is a great sacrifice. It's sort of like we got it. I want you to recognize the sacrifice of the pressure when people have stress. When you have stress, that's your body and your emotions trying to hold on to the energy of you wanted to. You got to scream that stuff out, but you can't scream it out. You got stuff to do, so you stuff it down, and that goes on and on and on. Well, okay, now I'm talking a lot about negative stuff, horrible stuff, painful stuff, but just to put it in perspective, okay? Only about 4 or 5% of you is in bonded pain. But this small amount is so loud and so powerful that it runs your subconscious life. Okay, so we feel like the pain is like this giant mountain. In reality, it's only a small 4 or 5% of the. So that means 95% of yourself is probably doing okay. But if you have that 4 or 5% is really pain, and has around bad toxic relationships, so you have toxic relationship over and over, or you have self-sabotage over and over, or you carry guilt and shame and blame for long periods of time, or you feel like you have to sacrifice your happiness for others. All this crap that is not part of you is running along in your subconscious that it doesn't need to be there. You're not a punching bag for pain. You're not a dumping ground for judgments and shame and blame. That's not the way to live a life. So when we talk about healing and evolving our emotional body, you're not really talking about this huge amount. The pain, the actual amount of pain compared to the rest of your life is actually pretty small, but it's very loud. Like if you stump your toe, your little toe or something at night, and you start screaming and jumping around. Well, that's just a little toe, right? The rest of you's okay. But that little toe, man, is like shouting, "Do something now! Don't ever let me do that again!" It's screaming, "Help! Relief! Heal me!" So that's what it is. But it's really just one little toe, but it just feels like your whole being is like just got blown up with pain. So I just thought I'd put that in perspective. Okay, language lesson of the heart. The growth you are seeking is in the pain you're hiding. I just beat this one to death, but you get the idea. Okay, talking to the parts of self is all about relationship. The relationship between man and woman, between parent and child, between the inner you and the outer you, between the above, which is like this kingdom of heaven, and the kingdom of earth, above and below, and the relationship between now and the past. Basically, you don't want to have a a relationship with the past. Not in terms of a needy being pushed around by the past, that kind of or being dominated by the trauma and drama of the past. You want the past to be brought up into the present. So, and it's about a relationship between you and your spirit, heart, will, and body, which you have never had. But it's a good idea to do it because they are where your real power is, where your intelligence is, or where your intuition, your creativity, your heart, your fun, your play. They're all in your spirit, heart, will, and body. And pretty much your brain is just trying to figure everything out. Okay, and now let's talk about what happens to a normal person who does not talk to their parts of self, or they never had access to it, they didn't know about it, they didn't learn about it, and it was never on their radar. And trust me, this was pretty much planned by the culture that we live in, is to avoid yourself, the taboo against knowing who you are. They have us to where when you say, "Who are you?" your brain just goes blank, right? That is just like what the greatest crime against humanity is, to have, "Who are you?" Right? I'm Mike, and I live here, and I did that, and I learned this, and that's all you got, right? But you're the inner being. You're infinite, immortal, and what was never created. So here's what happens with Dr. Mitsuru Emoto's rice experiment, right? Mitsuru Emoto's rice experiment. What happens if you ignore? So what they produce, they put rice and a little bit of water in these bottles, and then they close them up and let them rot. In one, on the left-hand side there, you says love and gratitude, and then the other one says thank you, and the other one says you fool, and then the fourth one is ignored. And look at the ignored, right? And this is from December 14th. It was 1 year and 3 months. So this is gradually over time. If you ignore yourself, and you're not taking care of yourself, you're not appreciating yourself, you're not congratulating yourself, you're not championing yourself, you're not doing any of that for years and years at a time, well, it has a cost. Here's another one. Talking to the parts of self. What happens when you ignore? And again, this society is set up to, take care of the kids, or to take care of the house, or take care of the home, or to take care of the car, or go to church and do everything except take care of you. You know what I'm saying? And just acknowledge and appreciate and love you. You can love anybody you want, everybody you want, but no, you can't love yourself. I'm not lovable. I'm not worthy, right? You can't love yourself because that's selfish, or that's rude, or you're going to be you're greedy or something like that. They have this negative stigma against loving yourself. So here again is somebody else who did the experiment, which was, I love you on the one side, and the rice is looking pretty good after a year, and I hate you is looking kind of moldy, and ignored just turned to mush, right? Same thing. Here's another better look at it. The I hate you. You're an idiot, right? And how many people say I hate myself, or I hate this about myself, or they make jokes, or I hate my hair. When you have those things, man, you got to be careful what you say to yourself. The one on the right is I love you. You are wonderful. And the rice is like, it looks like it's just been sitting in water, and it hasn't rotted, hasn't molded, hasn't turned color. And look at the ignored. The ignored just turned to like complete, I don't know what that is. But that's really what happens to people. It's like, unless you have something good in your life, like music or dance, or something exciting that you're doing that you can play with, then, you just basically rot if you not taking care of yourself. Here's what it looks like with plants, right? I love you, I hate you, and if you ignore them. So if these plants are in the same house, and one's getting love and the other one's getting I hate you, and one's getting ignored, the ignored seem to get the worst. So, language is the lesson of the heart. What happens when you take care of yourself and get your spirit, heart, will, and body working, and you remove all the toxic memories and toxic feelings and stinking thoughts from your energy field, it turns to the right-hand side. But if you leave this accumulation of wasted thoughts and toxic feelings, and if you allow that stuff to accumulate and it stays in your energy field, it drops the vibration of your energy field and makes it chaotic. So this is a good time to ask for questions. Anybody got any questions? Go ahead.
You've said it before, and you just said it a few minutes ago. We're infinite, immortal. And what was the other word? And it's the other word that I wanted you to explain or elaborate on.
Okay, we're infinite and immortal, and from what was never created.
That one. Could you elaborate on that, please?
Yeah, if you imagine you take you're going to create something, like you're going to create a painting, right? You'd need to bring a piece of paper or a canvas and get paints, right? And then do your painting. You're creating the whole thing, right? But the paper would have to be there, the paint would have to be there, the brushes would have to be there. You see what I'm saying? That's a creation. But when something emerges out of the ground of being, then, which is where we come from, the sort of like the Godhead was not created; it emerged out of energy. How can I put? Let me see if I can put it another way. If you have a vibration, right, of a television transmitter is vibrating, and that's just vibration there, static. But then you can tune that vibration to the station, and this image appears. The shapes and forms and sounds and all this kind of stuff appears, but it comes from just this vibration, right? Well, the whole universe is a vibration, and we emerge from that vibration. We're not created by it; we emerge from it. Yeah, that includes everything: gods, planets, angels. Everything is an emergent. We are emergent beings, and therefore we have been from the beginning. Right? We exist from the beginning, and we will exist till the end. There will be no end. If there's no beginning, there's no end. And this is again not what's taught to us. We are not clued in that uh, we are already infinite and immortal beings. If you died like this, at the second time you clicked your fingers, you'd be in a place filled with light and love and God and all this kind of stuff and infinity and knowing everything in the whole universe, right? This looks like a creation, but in fact it's an emergent phenomena. And it's important to know that, because then you have sort of like a leverage to do your healing work, to correct a lot of the misinformation and the denial of your whole self, right? To come, you can't to let petty emotions and petty people uh, judge you, put you down, and put us in a box, in a category. You're a woman, you're less educated, you're more educated, you're a man, you're a homosexual, you're black. We put all these things to kind of drop us down and stick us into this finite exclusive, right? But the ground of being is inclusive. The Great Mother herself, which is the will of creation, the Great Mother herself is absolute inclusivity and unconditional love. Whenever we think of we are created, then to be created, that puts us in this exclusive category. We're not exclusive, we're inclusive. We're inclusive, and we have unconditional love, and we need to get back to that. So I don't know if that helps, but it's like breaking the God barrier, right? I had a talk today with somebody on the internet, and they refused to believe that they were God, or they said I'm a creation. I'm not the creator. But there is no creation. There's just the creator. That's all it is. Everything is an emergent phenomena. You could call it the Hindus call it a Maya, an illusion. It's an illusion because the only thing that there is this infinite energy of absolute inclusivity and unconditional love. That's who we are. So, in this time and this space, we've been compressed down to believe that we're, this race, this gender, this intelligence, this rich, this poor, all this kind of stuff, all those qualifications is really collapse of the wave function of absolute inclusivity and unconditional love. Any more questions? Amanda, you got any questions? Okay. All right.
I would just I found this book, The Emotional Code. Have you heard of it?
I have heard of it, but I haven't read it.
Yeah, there was. You can look it up. I'm from Sweden, so it's from your. I think it is from the States that this man he wrote the book, and I have taken some lessons, no treatments with the emotional code. It's you do the muscle testing, and then you find out if it's in my life now or previous, whatever. And he found out that the people, he was a doctor, and he found out that the people who had a lot of, say, for instance, grief or whatever, they were sick in the kidneys or anything, that the emotions get stuck in different organs. So by working with the emotional code, people got well.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to get well, actually,
Yeah.
but it takes examination and it takes
Yeah.
a process,
Mm-hmm.
not just a thought. So,
Yeah, but
so you
and
read the book and you practice a process, and then you have some faith that it'll work, and it does work. So, there's a lot of things that that are helpful. Yeah,
yeah.
especially when it comes to the disease.
I can also see, like here in Sweden, people are stone-faced. They are not connected with themselves, and um, I can ask them, "How do you feel?" And have you asked yourself today, "How do you feel?" And then I get labeled and everything. But it's quite important to ask yourself, "How do I feel today?" Check in.
Absolutely,
Check in.
absolutely. Check
Yeah.
in. Give care enough.
Mm.
Yeah. How's my shoulder doing? How's my back? What's that back thing? Is it okay today? Should I stretch it? Those kind of things. Or I've been eating this diet for a few weeks now and I'm not sure it really suits me, so maybe I should try changing my diet. These little things, like I said, it's these little things that that become big over time.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
like I mean, the body is talking to you all the time if you pay attention. It's just to
absolutely.
be consciousness, as I say.
Absolutely. And it knows more what's going on than you do.
Yeah,
And what's good about talking to the parts of the self is you can go in and ask the body, what's going on with you? How are you doing? And the body will say, I'm doing good. And then you can say, do you need this kind of food or do you need this kind of exercise? That's part of what talking to the parts of self is. It's like a verbal muscle testing that you can also talk about, well, who hurt you here? And is there a squabble going on between my parts? Does my head overpower my heart? And you can kind of do therapy with it, right? You see what I'm saying? It's very powerful. We're gonna jump into talking to the parts of self real pretty soon. Um,
Karen, the book, The Emotional Code, is it by Bradley Nelson or Annetta Malik?
Bradley.
Okay, thank you.
okay, let's go back because really this isn't. I don't think it's going to be a super long workshop because this is a really simple thing, but I just wanted to put in as much of the understandings because when you're at home, you're going to be talking to the parts of yourself, and it's going to be so simple. It's like just like talking to a child, or maybe talking to somebody who has autism. You just talk to them. It's very simple. But to understand the impact that it has, or how far-reaching, or how important it is profound. Okay. Okay. So this is back to the keynote. This is from the CDC. The number one factor for almost every major disease is adverse childhood experiences. This is the actual data. This is the 2015 National Survey on Drug Use and Health. And this is about the stuff that for psychotherapeutic drugs, right? That means if you have emotional issues or psychosomatic issues, you go to a doctor and you get prescribed drugs. And here's what it looks like. Prescription pain relievers in the United States is 91.8 million. Prescription tranquilizers, 38.2 million. Prescription stimulants, 4.8 million. Sedatives, 18 millions. And self-described binge drinkers, people who drink they pass out on the weekends, 65 million. That comes to 209 million people are on psychoactive drugs. That means this is not a very good society to be in. You're up against these people all the time. Your children are going to marry one of them. Maybe you married one of them, right? Our society is not healthy. And this doesn't include the 500,000, 500,000 homeless people and the 39.7 million people below poverty level. Okay, then this goes to the ACEs study. Hurt people hurt people. Pain passes through generation. It's not genetic. It is the environment. You know, your parents grew up with strict parents, and they're strict parents to you, and then you're going to be strict parents to you, and on it goes. So this is from the ACEs study. Some conclusions were made from the large surveys. The number one factor, ACEs is adverse childhood experiences. And so ACEs are the number one factor for prison inmates, for obesity and eating disorders, for all mental health issues, for homelessness, for drug and alcohol. Okay, so all this stuff doesn't just drop out of the genetic gene pool. This comes from the environment, from not getting what you needed as a child and suffering during your life. Failed marriages ending in divorce, poverty and failure at life. ACEs are the number one factor for dropout rates in school. It's the number one factor for suicide, which, since our dear friends at the pharma industry did the lockdown, our suicide rate went up something like 500%. You know, it's just crazy. And the number one factor for childhood and adult PTSD, and the number one factor for nearly every disease. Okay, this is from the disease control that takes track of these numbers. I'm not giving you like my opinion. So the Center for Disease Control, ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, increase the risk for chronic illness and poor physical health. So here's the list of diseases: asthma, cancer, celiac disease, chronic fatigue, coronary heart disease. There, you asked that question about heart disease. There it is right there. Diabetes type 1 and 2, fibromyalgia, hypertension, irritable bowel syndrome, inflamed bowel disease, liver disease, lupus, multiple sclerosis, right? Sleep disorder, stroke, poor related health. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? So you get back to here, right? If just by talking to the parts of yourself, you will begin a healing process. You just, to have these things long-standing. Go ahead, Lisa.
Totally screwy when your previous or the slide you're talking about the CDC and the ACE, and I know people that have most of those diseases. Like I know someone has that disease, that. I can't see any of them saying, "Oh, yeah, it's because of my childhood," and that's frightening.
No.
And then they're going to be they're going to be co-creating, often by accident, the next generation. And then the next generation. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, what happens is you have mental illness in a household, or you have neglect, or you have a rageaholic, or somebody's an alcoholic, and this affects the whole family system. When you have something like, let's say, diabetes is famous for going through the family line. Well, whatever it is that's going in from family from generation to generation, whether it's pressure or oppression or being fake or well, one of the things about things like diabetes and things like rheumatoid arthritis is people are sitting on a huge amount of rage. They have enough rage that they want to kill everybody. But they say, I can't live like that, so I'm just going to deny my rage and be a nice person. So people with rheumatoid arthritis are really nice people, and people with diabetes are really nice people. But as soon as you open the lid under them, they're like a volcano in there, except instead of the volcano coming out their mouth, it comes out through their body. That's kind of the way it is. It wants to come out. It wants to be expressed. So, yeah.
I guess that's where they say the body doesn't lie.
Right.
Because it'll come out eventually somehow.
And the body keeps the score. And I'll tell you something else. This is the esoteric. Let me get back to his. Let me tell you the esoteric part of the spirit, heart, will, and body. We come into this body, and this body belongs to body. Body is 100% devoted to you. I move my hands like this. I tell my body, and it moves. I speak, and it speaks. And, anything I want my body to do, it does. But if the body has to hold pain from the heart, pain from the will, and has to hold on to this pain for a long period of time, it will say, I'm gonna cut this short, right? So I'm going to shorten your life by 10 years or up to 20 years, and you're going to get sick. And instead of dying at 60, you die at 50. Instead of dying at 70, you die at 50. See what I'm saying? When the body has had enough, it's had enough. It doesn't want to live like that anymore. Or it can just go like that, stop the heart, and that's it. You know what I mean? So has to be a certain amount of respect there, right? If you're feeding your dog, you want your dog to live as long as possible. So you pet it and feed it and take care of it. But we don't, if we just were able to relate to our spirit, heart, will, and body the way we talk to dogs, our whole life would flourish. You know what I'm saying? We could easily live to be 80s and 90s. Yeah? Because we're not carrying around that stubbed toe that never got a chance to heal. So talking to yourself, talking to your parts of self is a pretty big deal. It can be. You know what I'm saying? People can be all right. A lot of people, they don't really care if they die at 60 or not, right? Like I'm 72. I have no inflammation, no problems of illness. I never catch the flu, right? I'm going slower, but like I said, when I wake up in the morning, I don't have stiffness or inflammation, because all that inflammation is the body's immune response. So, talking to the parts of self, take action and the responsibility for your will. This is to reclaim your inner child. When people do inner child work, they are healing their will, okay? But when you can talk to your will directly, it is profoundly more important, right? When you go to a therapist, you go to them face to face as the best, right? To a psychic healer, maybe you can get away with it being over the phone, but you want face to face. So be able to go face to face with the ones who love you the most and are dedicated to help to you is kind of a big deal. Talking to the parts of self, take action and take responsibility for your will. So your deal as being the coach, the president, the therapist, is to make sure that inner child, that will, is in good shape. There isn't a single person on this planet that is entitled to treat you like shit. That's the protection of yourself, protection of your will. And then let the walls between your inner world and outer world fall in love. Like I said, we love everything on the outside so much, but seldom do we love what's going on the inside. As a matter of fact, we hate what's going on the inside for the most part because it's just a big mess full of failure and regrets. Okay, all healings happens from the inside out, but as soon as you begin talking to the parts of yourself, you're on the inside, and just this starts your healing. Okay, where's okay, it's not much further. And then we're going to do an exercise. And I said to my body softly, I want to be your friend. And the body took a long breath and replied, I've been waiting my whole life for this. Yeah? That's the attitude. Okay, going back to the general overall healing, talking to the parts of self. All wounding happens automatically, subconsciously, non-verbally, and invisibly. That's how wounding happens. It happens from the outside in. But when you go from the inside out, and you start talking to the parts of self, your automatically becomes deliberate. Your subconscious becomes conscious. Your nonverbal becomes verbal, and your invisible becomes visible. And this is a big deal because you're actually taking the ground of being that causes emotional stress and illness, and you're turning it around. You're doing a 180 degree, and that's why this stuff works so well. Okay, the kingdom of heaven is inside you, so why does this outer world teach you so little about your inside world? And they do this because government, religion, families, business all run on a power structure with you as the ignorant sheep. It's to their advantage to not empower you or make you a sovereign being at all, to not make you the king of your own kingdom. Okay, it's Psalms 82. I said you are gods, you are children of the Most High, but you shall die like men and fall like one of the princes. And that's what happens to people, right? You are gods and children of the Most High, but if we don't step into the power of being the king or queen of our own inner kingdom, then we will live our life as a prince, and we will die having never attained our kingdom. So the first thing you do for a kingdom is you define your sovereignty by who's in your kingdom. And in this case, inside your kingdom is a spirit, heart, will, and body, and 661 trillion cells, all devoted to you. And as soon as you directly take power and talk to them, as human beings, as equals, as confidants, as family, everything changes. To die as a prince is to never become king or god of your own kingdom within. Love flows where attention goes. You don't have to know how it works, it's just you have to know how it works for you. When you begin to talk to the parts of self is the start of the new ending to your story. This is like a hero's journey, right? And your will, your emotional body, and your heart are stuck in a cave with the dragons and demons, and you got to figure out some way to get in there and help them get out of it. Hello, Marcus. You as the hero have found the princess, and a new relationship has begun. This is the turning point of the fairy tale. You're writing a new story and being your on your hero's journey. Right? Fairy tales are more true than anybody. If we took fairy tales seriously, that's a complete pattern to how to heal your emotional body, each one of them. When talking to the parts of self, remember you are all on a hero's journey, all for one and one for all. Healing is a group and inner family effort. You as a leader help your parts get back what they need, right? So in The Wizard of Oz, right, the spirit was looking for his mind, right? He didn't have he was insecure about his mind. Heart was looking for a heart. Will was looking for the way home, right? The emotional little girl, that's the feminine. And body, which is the lion, was looking for courage, you see? And each one of your parts of self, spirit, heart, will, and body, they're on their own little quest, and you can help them become the best versions of themselves, or to become whole, right? Be clear what you say. Your subconscious parts of self see you as God and CEO. They believe and manifest what you say. With your first hello, you have begun to move mountains of scars and wounds from the past. Be gentle with yourself. You're meeting parts of yourself that you've been at war with. Okay, when talking to parts of self, step into the role of God, King, Queen, CEO, boss, healer, teacher. That's the role you want to take, right? You want to make right what was not right, what was done to you that was not right, and you're the one who's in charge of you're the therapist for them, the teacher, the healer. Healing is your responsibility and your action. When you heal them, you heal you. You're a God in physical form. You're right. Let me see. You're the hero to fight. You fight the demons and dragons for your spirit, heart, will, and body. Which is the demons and dragons are the energy and the words and the events, the memories of things that happened to you, whether you were beaten or neglected or abused or whatever happened to you growing up. You're the one who's going to step in there and try to fix all that. It's your job as a hero. Okay, I think what we'll do now is we'll do a little demonstration on talking to the parts of self. Everybody want to give it a go? I wonder what immersive is. Oh, I don't want to do that. Okay. Oops, that didn't work either. Do this. Yeah. Okay, can everybody see me? Faye, Susan, Marcus, everybody can see me? Okay, the way it works is like when you're a kid and you play with little dolls, right? You play with little dolls and you cast your voice. Hi, what's your name? My name's Pen. What's your name? My name's Marker, right? And you're playing, right? That's called casting your voice. So all you really got to do is cast your voice. And so let's everybody practice. What you do is you just feel the energy of we're going to work with spirit first. Just feel the energy of your head, and you pull it out, and then you look into your hands. Remember, we want to be verbal and visual. So you just say, "Hello, it's nice to meet you, spirit." Yeah, and wait for an answer. Did you get any answer or not? No, that's okay. So in the beginning, it's good to ask yes or no questions just to get the ball rolling. Um, so start with so you got a hello, right? So you said hello. So the first yes or no question is an agreement. You say, hello, spirit. I would like to create an internal atmosphere of love and cooperation. Will you help me? That's the question. Will you help me? I'd like to create an internal atmosphere of love and cooperation. Will you help me? And you say it out loud. Do not say it in your mind. There's a difference between what goes on in your head and what comes out of your mouth. This is remember it says you get wounded by automatic, subconscious, nonverbal, and invisible. So you want to turn the nonverbal into verbal. So it's out loud. Make sure it's out loud. Did everybody get a reply? You didn't get a reply? No?
I needed to write down what you said, and I didn't, to repeat it. So I didn't remember everything that you said we should ask.
It'd say, hello, my spirit. I would like to create an internal atmosphere of love and cooperation. Will you help me? What did you say, Mark? Hugh?
Yeah, I've been trying the exercises for a number of days. The basic thing that you're showing us now. What I just wondered about was, when you say you play between the two parts, like you're a kid, one talking to the other.
Yeah.
If I do it like that, so I'm asking the question, how are you feeling today, spirit or heart? And then I play the answer. In other words, I'm not getting an answer like, I then give the answer out. Yeah, I'm feeling great. Or thank you for turning up here. It's about time or whatever. And then I get a dialogue going, but it's a chatty dialogue that I'm creating the two parts like I was a kid. But when you were saying there about, do you get an answer? It doesn't, not that way. I have to sort of interject and then play the answer. If you see what I mean.
It's okay. It's okay. That's the way it's working for you. But you can, if there's something that you seriously need to know, or it's a good question, then I try to put it in a yes or no. Like, will you help me, or what do you say to that? Try to put them into yes and no. But on the other hand, to have long conversation is really, really amazing. And you're going to see that your spirit, heart, will, and body will have different variation, different amount of coming forth. One might be closed down. If somebody's closed down, that's okay. Then you work with let's say your heart's closed down. Then you work with your spirit, will, and body and get them, you build trust with them, say, like, what would you like for dinner, and those kind of things. And should I watch TV, or should we take a nap, or all these kind of things. You invite them into your daily routine. Yeah.
So the response will be a feeling from the answer. Will be like a feeling from them, some sort of hint. Yes, you feel.
You want words. So if you're working with them, then try to get the words to come out. And like I said, one part of you might like your head, right? Your spirit is all about words, so it shouldn't be that hard to get the spirit to work. But the other part, spirit, heart, and body, they might be reluctant. But if you keep working at it, you're going to be able to get it. And then you're going to get good information, like what was your deepest pain, and who hurt you, and things like that. Is there any conflicts inside me? Is there any conflicts inside me that I can help resolve? How's the relationship between spirit, heart, will, and body? Is there a victim perpetrator thing going on, or you see what I'm saying? Because a lot of people treat their self like shit, right? And then that packs down, so that it feels on the inside it feels like a victim, like their heart's being judged, or the body's being judged, or whatever, you see. So, and it comes from your own internal dialogue, and you got to shift that around and try to make it right.
Yeah. Okay. So you'll hear the answer, sort of thing, from the part. You'll sort of verbally hear some sort of answer. Or
it's like casting your voice. Like I said, it's just like when you're playing with two little toys, and you play both parts.
Yeah.
There's me, or I could do it like this, with just me, right? Talking to my marker. Hey Marker, how are you doing? And Marker goes, I'm fine. Do it like that, you see? Yeah. I haven't used you very much, Marker. Are you okay with just sitting around on my desk? Yeah, it's okay. I like to be lazy. I don't have to use it. Besides, if you use me up, then I'll be gone, right? See? You want that kind of dialogue, so that you can
Yeah.
you can get the verbal communication going, right? Because the voice, right? We have been told not to give voice to our feelings, not to give voice to who we are, not to let anybody see us, right? Not to be seen, not to be heard. Children should be seen and not heard, right? We get this kind of crap. So this is why it takes time to build up trust and build up a relationship, so you can actually talk to them and they can talk to you. Especially when you start talking later on, right? When we do the empowerment process, and we're doing the judgment and denial release process, uh, that really helps them a lot to free up the energy that's getting tied up to keep them. Like if you have something inside you that says, I can't really say, I can't tell anybody what's going on. I can't trust anybody, right? If you have those kind of negative judgments in there, that's going to be hard. But if you can do like I said, you want to hear it with your ears. You want to speak it with your mouth and hear it with your ears, because this externalized it, right? That's what you want. You don't want all this stuff internalized where it can any kind of bad feelings or resentment or any kind of that stuff just is cooking along. You want to put it on the table, put the cards on the table. Who hurt you? When did you get hurt? Are you being hurt now? What are you holding back? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do the same thing with the heart. Say, pull out heart and say, "Hello, heart. It's very nice to meet you. How are you doing?" And then wait for an answer. And then if you get an answer or you don't get an answer, it doesn't matter. If it says fine or whatever, the second thing you ask is, I would like to create an internal atmosphere of love and cooperation. Will you help me? Okay, let's give that one a try. Heart. How are you doing, heart? Pull the energy from your heart. Speak out loud, not in your head. You can whisper if you want. Did everybody get some kind of result? So Karen and Amanda and Hugh, did you get an answer?
Just a quick question on that one as well. Do you
Yeah.
visualize, when you visualize the part, spirit, the heart, the will, or the body, when you put it in here, I know it's very pedantic this, but are you visualizing what to you it should look like?
You can if you
Character.
want. You can if you want. It doesn't really matter. I mean, it's okay to look at your hands, but if an image comes to you, then go with that. The idea is acceptance. You want radical acceptance for whatever is going on. Even radical acceptance for mistakes until you get it right. This is why it's called language lessons of the heart, because you have to literally teach them to talk, and you have to learn how to talk to them to get the right kind of response. So Marcus has got his his mic off. I don't know if Marcus, Faith, and Susan have anything to say. And Lisa turned her mic off. Okay, so if you got a positive response, so we got a response from your spirit, got a response from your heart. Now your will is down here in your body. You just feel on both sides of your belly button. Rub that around so you can feel it, and you pull it up and you ask, "Hello, very nice to meet you, my beautiful will." Nice to meet you, Michael. I know we've been friends for a long time. That's true. I'd like to create an internal atmosphere of love and cooperation. Will you help me? Yes, yes, yes. It really works. That's what I got. So pull the energy from your belly with your hands on your belly and rub it around a little bit, and then pull that energy back up. Out loud so your ears can hear, even if it's a whisper.
It takes some time to translate it in Swedish.
You can speak in Swedish if you want, doesn't matter.
Yeah, but use your language and translate it to Swedish, because that's my language, and get the but I can say I'm burning hot with healing now. I'm sweating, and
Oh, that's
so
good. That's a good result because something's moving. I don't know what
yep,
it is, but something's moving.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so then we did spirit, heart,
Mhm.
will, and now with the body. With the body, just kind of pull your arms like this and just imagine pulling all the energy up around you, and then say, "Hello, my beautiful body," or just "Hello, body. It's very nice to meet you. How are you doing?" Yeah. And then whatever response you get, my body says, "I'm doing good. We're really doing good." That's what I've been doing this for years. So, and then you say, after they're finished talking, you say, "I would like to create an internal atmosphere of love and cooperation. Will you help me?" That's a yes or no. Or, um, Amanda, do you get it working?
Yep, absolutely.
That's good. Well, you've been doing this for a while now.
Yeah, about 4.5 years.
How's it? Did you get a response?
Oh, sure.
No, I'm asking Hugh.
Oh, Hugh?
Yeah, sorry. That's okay. Yes, I did. Basically, unlike Karen, it wasn't dramatic as that, but I'm feeling a slight relaxation generally in my body from doing
Yeah,
it.
would you try to work on getting it so that you can hear the voice of what they say? Because right now they're acting like they're in a position of being a child who cannot speak to adults, right? So you want to encourage them and help them, and give them an ice cream cone. You want to give them love, so they will talk to you. You know how? Because if you never learn how to talk to anybody, you're just going to go yes, no, and you're not going to really get into it. But after a while, it works up. So now we went from spirit, heart, will, and body. We asked this question. We asked for this agreement. I want to I want to create an internal atmosphere of love and cooperation. And your spirit said yes, your heart said yes, your will said yes, and your body said yes. Right? And that makes you, maybe for the first time in your life, absolutely congruent. You're congruent. Everybody's going in the same direction. Everybody's on the same page. And this is the kind of stuff you do here, right? You make agreements and become congruent with with what your overall plan is, to heal and evolve, to bring them up and make them functioning equal to you, which right now they're not, because we've been treating them as less than equal, just the way it is. Even though they're the same, they're the light, right? Our light is pure white light, and when it hits the body, it splits into blue, green, yellow, and red. Those are the four colors of the spectrum of the rainbow, and that's exactly what they are. They're aspects of the self. They're 4 and 1, and 1 and 4. So the next one to do is start back with the spirit and say, "I'm empowering myself with strong and loving intent to hear my will. Will you help me?" Right? And that's a yes or no. This is an empowerment, and this is also an agreement. So ask for spirit, heart, will, and body, each one at a time. I'm empowering myself with a strong and loving intent to heal my will. Will you help me? Say it out loud so at least your ears can hear, and cast your voice so at least your ears can hear. And next, to get this next alignment, is you pull your heart energy out and say, hello heart, I'm empowering myself with a strong and loving intent to heal my will. Will you help me? Success? We have success?
Yep.
Good. So that was heart, and remember, the main goal of all this is to get your emotional body clear and clean, and so that's the will is your soul, is your belly. So ask her for this. I'm empowering myself with a strong and loving intent to heal you, my will. Will you help me? This is an agreement.
Absolutely.
And last, if you got your agreement, if you got a yes, is do your body. Just pull the energy of your body up. This is, like I said, this is like biofeedback with words and feelings. So it's actually making your subconscious conscious. So pull up your energy of your body and say, I'm empowering myself with a strong and loving intent to heal my will. Will you help me? You all good, Hugh? Okay.
Yeah.
And
Can I
Lisa?
just? I'm sorry.
Go ahead and talk.
Yeah, yeah. It's just basics again, but just asking on the will bit. I noticed earlier about issues with stomach problems and all this in the body as an illness. And since childhood, I've always had a heavy, anxious feeling down in the pit of my stomach. The diary right down there, and the will seems to be positioned there. I know it's not the body; it's the will, and you can feel it, the energy. So I'm just wondering, is there a tie-in sometimes between the locations of the parts, possibly, and the way it's been shown on your body map?
If you feel it is your body response to your will's. Your will has all the feeling, but it can go out to different parts of the body. But you can talk to your body and say, what is the original cause for this feeling that I'm having, or this disease that I'm having? And then ask your will, what is the original cause? What happened to start this? When did it all begin? Ask questions, right? And then if it's a heart issue or whatever, ask a heart. Heart, can you look into this and help put light into this, right? And you get this cooperation of these four parts or two parts working on what is this deal with this stomach, you know? Were you given a gut punch when you were a kid with a verbal, like, you know, insult, or some traumatic event happened to you? Whatever it was, you don't know. You don't know, but if you can feel it, it's being brought up to your consciousness to be it's ready to be moved on, ready to be worked with.
Thanks. Yeah.
So any kind of sensation you have, trouble with the neck, trouble with shoulder, arthritis, any kind of thing, you can try to bring up what that was. How did it happen? When did it start? These are things you can do with talking to the parts of self, and you can ask each one, because let's say your emotional body, your will is quiet. Well, you can ask the heart, what is going on? What do you see? And ask the body, what do you feel, body? What is the cause of this? And when you get to the cause, it's pretty easy to allow it to express and let go. Well, this is getting kind of long in the tooth here. Let me go back to the PowerPoint, and that's just what I was saying. When you talk to the parts of yourself, ask questions. Questions are good, right? There's stuff that they know, especially stuff about your vitality, your energy, and your soul, and your spirit, and the energy frequencies that you hold. There's stuff that they know that you can ask them, and they'll come up with it. Don't be afraid to go back over this, because this is like learning a new language. Come back and watch this video a second time or third time till you kind of let it sink in. So how are you doing? What would you like? What would you like for dinner? Or what would you like to wear? Ask just questions like you would ask a child, or you'd ask a friend. What would you like to wear? What would you like to eat? What would you like to drink? Then you can ask these questions a little deeper, like, who hurt you? When did this happen? Right? What would you like for dinner? How long have you been in this pain? You see, these are things that if you can get to the root of some of these things, you can release them. You can cry them out. You can apologize for them. You can say, I'm sorry. You ask for forgiveness. Yeah. This goes a long, long way to healing. It's like therapy. This is in fact Gestalt therapy on steroids. If you ever know what Gestalt therapy, you can look it up and tell you what it's all about. Then you can ask them questions. What do you need from me? Maybe you're stressed out and they want you to chill out, or maybe you're too recluse and they want you to get out and walk in nature more or something, right? What can we do for fun, right? You're asking them. Remember, you're in the position of God, of the CEO, of the teacher, of the healer, of the mentor, of the parent. That's your role here, the protector. The knight in shining armor is going to slay the dragons. Ask them, if they want to dance, or what kind of favorite music, and what do I need to learn from you? See, it's not top down. You ask them, so it's like equal. You're not a government of top down pyramid. You want to make it equal. What can I learn from you? What can I do differently that'll match your energy that you need? Okay, and this is the image, right? The image is we're living at the top floor. This head up here is the top floor of your whole. We live in our head our whole life, and we never really talk to the other residents in our building. And when you find out that they are your true eternal family, and they've always been there for you, and they're willing and supporting you in your life you created, they love and support you 100%. Remember what I said. You ask the body to do this, and it does it. You want to breathe, cough, right? Whatever it is, your body responds like that. Your emotions respond like that. They are completely tuned into you, and you need to respect that and not abuse it and not ignore it. Okay, so that was basically, you got a grasp on talking to the parts of self. Language lessens the heart has four processes. This process here has a lot to do with the law of attraction. Okay? When you talk to the parts of self, you're creating an image, like Hugh was doing, is you're creating an image of the relationship. When you create the image of a relationship, it will manifest, right? And if the relationship is one of love and cooperation and one of healing, then it'll create that relationship for you. So this is the law of attraction, is when you use your imagination and your feelings and you step into a new reality. And this is actually needs to be practiced as the law of attraction, where you create the kind of a life that you want to give to your spirit, heart, will, and body, the kind of a life you want to have, and then you step into it. That's what the law of attraction is all about. It's very powerful when you do it that way. And remember, you've got the placebo working on your side. They say the placebo is like 5 to 20% of healing, but that's bullshit. That's what the pharmacy says. It really goes from 30 to 60% of healing is placebo. That's why people can eat carrots and heal themselves of cancer. They can go to a raw food diet, or they can go to an all meat diet and heal themselves from cancer. If you get your intentionality, if you can get your attraction, you can step into that vision of you healing, you're going to heal. Just because that's the kind of we're energy beings first and foremost, so we can do these kind of things. So you've already got a lot of advantages on your side. Okay, and this kind of goes without saying. This symbol on the left, that's the Greek for logos. Logos is theos, okay? Logos means in classical Greek both reason and word, and the translation thought. Reason, word, and thought is probably the best equivalent for the Greek term, since it indicates, on one hand, the faculty of reason, and on the thought inward conceived in the mind, and on the other hand, the thought outwardly expressed through the vehicle of language. The two ideas of thought and speech are blended into the term logos. Logos is thought and speech, right? And in every employment of the word, in philosophy and scripture, both concepts of thought and its outward expression are closely connected. Then you go to John 1, right? In the beginning was the Word, but in the beginning was the Logos, and the Logos was with the Theos, and the Logos was Theos, right? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. You understand?
Yeah.
Logos is Theos to your emotional body. Get that in your mind and maybe write that down. Logos is Theos to your emotional body. What you think and what you say is the Word of God for your 61 trillion cells and your spirit, heart, will, and body. So if you've got stinking thinking, just it's not hard just to be kind, to be nice, to be helpful. It's not hard to do that. But you really need to watch it when you start saying, I hate myself, or I'm not good enough, or I'm full of faults, and I can never, and I can't, and all this kind of stuff, or this is hard, or I'm not worth it, all this kind of crap. You're actually speaking that into your spirit, heart, will, and body, and they're hearing it as the Word of God, and it is there, just like I'm telling my hand to move, they're going to move to make that a reality for you. So the words, reasoning, and thoughts you think are from you as as God to your 61 trillion cells in your spirit, heart, will, and body. That's a really important. It's important to step in the role of teacher, mentor, God, parent, the best parent, right, or the best evolved self. Step into those kind of roles and do solid mentoring of yourself, because you're going to live with these people, spirit, heart, will, and body, for the rest of your life, and maybe the next lifetime too. Okay, when it comes to talking to parts of self, trust building. Keep your agreements, and if you can't keep your agreements, then apologize, explain why. Just like if you tell a little kid that you're going to get ice cream and you can't get ice cream, or something, you say, well, we'll have to get ice cream tomorrow or the next day. You make it, if you keep your agreements, or apologize and explain why you couldn't keep your agreements. Do what you say you'll do. If you say we're going to go to the park on Saturday, you make a big effort to go to the park on Saturday. If you say you're going to get you're going to change your diet and add more something onto it, add more vegetables or something, make sure you do it. Do what you say you're going to do. Be willing to ask each one of your spirit, heart, will, and body what they need. You'd be surprised that you'd think that you're walking around in your head, but your head has to hold it. Your head has issues of its own because your spirit, has been having to hold your whole life together for you. It has been sort of like the Lone Ranger, and there's nobody out there helping me, and I got to take all the responsibility for everything. And then when it goes wrong, everybody blames me. You see, that's the stuff that you hear from your head. So there's ways you can alleviate that pressure so that you can balance it out. And heart has its own issues, right? So ask each one what they need. And if you're going to change, okay, and don't ignore, do not ignore them, and apologize if you do. Let's say you're going to set aside 6 months or 3 months or 6 months to do your healing work, then make sure you talk to your parts of self every day, or like once a week or something. Make some kind of agreement like that. Make sure that you connect to them so that there's not like, well, that was a fad. You're not a fad. You're going to be with these guys for the rest of your life, and they've already been serving you. Every breath you take and every heartbeat, they've been serving you for your whole life. So there's a certain amount of respect there. There's a whole thing you can do on forgiveness, okay? If you have a hard knock life, it is not your fault. These are things that happen to you. A mountain fell onto you. You're in some kind of like a UFO landed on your house or whatever it is. Your whole life was messed up. So it was not your fault. But still, apologize for their deepest wounds. Ask each one of them, I'm sorry, please forgive me for this thing that happened when I fell off my bicycle, or when my dad left me, or whatever that the trauma, the drama is. Ask forgiveness from each one of them so that you're not holding resentment, they're not holding resentment. Be fair in your interactions with them, okay? Do not play the bully or tell them what to do, or be the wise guy or snide, or treat them like puppets. Be fair in all your interactions with them. You be the kind of government that you want, that you would like to have. Okay, let's get on to physical health. For physical health, clear your emotional issues first. The number one factor for all health is emotional. So if you're gonna, let's say you're on some kind of pain medicine, or you have some kind of disease and you got to take medicine, keep taking your medicine, but really focus in on the emotional. Don't try to change your medicine or anything like that. But if it's physical health, right, go ahead and take the medicine. If they say you got to take the medicine, right? But you can ask what foods they need, that they want, or for health. And then ask often, because a lot of times you can change your diet or change some of the parts of your diet, and then in two weeks or a couple of months, you need to change it again, because that's the healing process for them. So ask what they need for food, the food they need for health, okay? Then ask them, what about exercises? What do they need to have optimum health, or to help you out with this physical issues that you have? And then ask about meditation. Would meditation help you? Right? Meditation is kind of really a bland thing, but it does help pull your energy and calm your mind. So if they say they want to meditate, then you can learn meditation and do a couple 30 or 40 minutes of meditation every day. Ask them about, this is huge, right? Ask them about dropping any toxic relationships if you needed to. This might be hard for you to deal with, but if you're in a toxic relationship, ask them if they're ready to drop it, if that would help your physical health to drop, so maybe an ex, or maybe a relative that's, you're kind of codependent with this relative, and you would need to cut that, right, to get your physical health back. Ask about the sleeping habits that they need. Ask if they have inner conflicts between them. Like I said, if your mind is being a bully all the time and telling yourself what to do, I got to work harder, I got to stay up, I got to get this job done, and your mind is being a bully to your body and your will, then you mediate that. Make sure there's no inner conflicts or inner resentments between let's say your physical body was attracted to somebody on a sexual level, that your heart took a beating on that one, right? Body was happy, we got some good sex, but then the heart was like torn to shreds, and your will was crushed, and then work those kind of issues out. Those are relationships issues. And then then after you've done all this kind of stuff, ask about the medications you use. Are they working? Are they needed? Should you have more of this, or should you reduce or change? Right? You can tune into your body and ask them, do I need to change my medication? Is this medication working? Right? You can work on that level. Work with your doctor on that too. So, and then emotional health. This, I think, is the last slide. Emotional health, which is the big deal, right? Ask each of your parts, what was your deepest pain, and write this down, because you're going to need to remember what was the deepest pain so you can work on it. Ask them what hurt them the most. And then you become a Time Lord, Coronis Lorden. Become a Time Lord and go back to that time and address that painful event, and let each part express what they felt then in the now. That's how healing works. You go back in time to that event and let each of your parts of self, spirit, heart, will, and body, if they need to, express now what they couldn't express then. And let them cry or moan or complain or be angry, whatever it is, until the end. And ask from your heart for forgiveness, and vow to always protect them from any type of pain if you can. Let each part grow and evolve. So that's the end of my of this presentation, and I think everybody did really well. Again, this is a very simple thing that when you do it, it's just gonna, all of a sudden your little plant's gonna shoot out 4 new limbs and 4 more bunches of flowers. I think that's what it. What is there any more? No. Oh, last one. Last one. You want to hear the last slide? Okay. The last slide. What have you gained? You increased your self-love by 400%. That's huge. Just to talk to the parts of self 4 times, once for each part of self, increases your self-love by 400%. If you do this consistently, it really pays off. Now, let's say you have hard decisions to make. You talk to and include your parts of self. Should I sell this house? Should I get a divorce? Should I get a new job, right? And then ask each one of them to look at it at different angles. If I get a divorce, what will you feel like? Will you feel lonely? Do you need this? And you work out how these major things will impact each of the parts, and you'll be able to make really good decisions. So your decision making just goes right off to really rock solid, and you won't have this nagging feeling of like jumping off a cliff. You'll already have thought it out. Well, okay, I like this guy or I like this woman, but she seems like she's this, and maybe it'd be good for a short-term relationship, but I think this woman is gonna break my heart, or this guy's gonna play me, or something. You'll get that feedback from them. Whatever they'll know, right? Saying and doing what you feel. When you say and do what you feel, it it makes you congruent. Yeah. When you do what you say you're going to do, and you do what you feel you're going to do, that makes you congruent, right? It makes you authentic. Okay, and now, this is a lot bigger deal than you think. Uh, Talking to your parts of self and your 61 trillion cells creates a new identity. It's just real simple. It's like, it's like if you had like a whole house full of cats, like 6 cats, then that creates the identity of you being a cat person, right? Or a dog person or a horse person. So it creates a new identity, a new level of identity for you. But so now when people ask you who you are, you'll know that you are spirit, you are heart, you are will, you are body, and you have 61 trillion cells that listen, that do exactly what you want to do anytime you need to do it. This is a really powerful thing because this goes to sovereignty, right? You're not a sovereign being until you can talk to the parts of self and your body. Uh, okay, now this is very, very close to channeling. Okay, with practice, you have learned the basics of channeling, and the important part about this, like, and channeling is really it's a lot of fun. People want to increase their psychic abilities, and like Hugh was saying, is it a feeling or is it a word? It is a feeling that becomes a word. All thoughts are feelings that become words, and words become feelings. So yeah, that's the way you begin to channel, is to take the feelings and allow the words to come through them. That's channeling. But the important part about this channeling your spirit, heart, will, and body is the higher self of the spirit is God the Father. The highest self of heart is the heart of creation. Also, what people consider like Buddha or Muhammad, right? That's the heart of creation. And the higher self of the will is the mother of everything. And also, this earth is a will planet. So you heal your will, you're also healing the earth. But you can connect to the earth, you can connect to these higher beings. And the higher self of the body is the father of manifestation, which is the God of form. And everything has form. And this whole universe of form is the father of manifestations universe. Just like your body belongs to body and not you. And, that's why you have to respect body, because you're living in body's house. Okay. So that's the channeling. You can always be safe if you can channel the higher selves of your spirit, heart, will, and body. You don't really need to have some kind of ETs, and that's all interesting, or some kind of Krylon, or some kind of Saint Germain, or that's take it or leave it. But you're going to the core of a human being, and you're going to the core of spiritual essence already. Okay, you've got a long, powerful way to make your subconscious conscious. This is a big deal. Who is it, Mr. Carl Jung? Until you make your unconscious conscious, it will just direct your life, and you'll call it fate. That's famous, right? Okay, so you're making your subconscious conscious. And with work and time, you'll have a much more healthy body and emotions, and this can be as much as 10 to 20 years extension on your life. And this goes to CDC. If you do this healing work, you clear everything out, you get all the cylinders firing and you're moving in the same direction. You don't have any internal conflicts. You're feeling good about your life, that 400% self-love. You're just adding 10 from 10 to 20. It depends on how big your hole is that you're climbing out of. 10 to 20 years you're adding to your life. That's what you gained from doing this. And just a reminder that this is language lessons of the heart, and talking to the parts of the self is the first process. The next process is the empowerment. The first one, talking to the parts of the self, and the empowerment process, use the word, use the, uh, it's the law of attraction, right? Talking to the parts of the self is the law of attraction. The empowerment process is the law of attraction, which I'm going to do another video on that next. And then judgment and denial release is the law of repulsion, and emotion release is the law of repulsion. So there's 4 processes, and they all kick ass. All right. I'm so glad everybody showed up.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael.
I've got a quick question. Hi, it's Faith.
Sure.
I wondered, is the physical and emotional traumas, would that be classed from an accident that happened as well?
It can, yes.
Right, okay.
But usually there's underlying stuff that goes back from the first 7 years of your life. That sets the stage for everything else that happens. You might have gotten in an accident, like if let's say it was a car accident, but when you were a little kid, you might have felt like you were getting run over by your parents and family. And then later on in your life, you get run over by a car, smacked by a car. So, I can't second guess what's actually going on in your life.
That's actually what happened. I got hit by a car.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's one example of I'm not going to second guess what it is. It is what it is, but it can,
Okay.
if it impacts your life in a traumatic way where it makes you afraid of cars, or you're intimidated, or whatever, if it has an after effect like that, that's emotional. That's coming from before the car hits you, right?
Yeah, this is more the physical, what's actually physically happened to me. So that's why I was interested to see whether I'd look more towards the body and the heart, or would I look for everything?
Yeah, I would work on all fronts. If you have a physical problem with your bones and body and a lot and your back or whatever it is, you can work on all of it. Work on your emotions through your body, which is a
Okay.
good way of doing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Susan, you any questions?
I was just wondering, the next session will be on
Is
a
your name
Wednesday.
Susan?
I'm going to have it on next Saturday.
Okay, thank you.
So let me see what day next Saturday is. I think it's the 24th.
Same time?
Same time, 2 p.m. Yeah, Saturday 24th, 2 p.m. on Facebook. And I think I'm gonna wrap this up and put it into YouTube too.
Oh, good.
Yeah. All right, everybody.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thanks very much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks all for showing up. This is really good. I'm going to go check my see how many people we got and answer other questions. More
Uh,
questions?
Michael, quick question. How do we find the link to this recording?
Well, it's right now. Right now, it's on. It's being recorded live on my like page, which is Mike Harrell, the
All
like
right.
page, and it's on the Language Lessons of the Heart um, group.
Ah, okay. How do I tap into that group?
Just to look up on Facebook,
Yeah.
and just type in Language Lessons of the Heart,
Okay. Thank
and
you.
it's a private group, and it'll be running there, and I'm going to try to get it running on YouTube not too long from now, and my YouTube channel is just Michael Harrell on YouTube, so it'll be there.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.